Welcome back.
Yay, good morning, everybody. Hi, it's Kate Richburg and Emily Miller live from Beach Shop headquarters. Beach Shop Beachshop.com headquarters.
You know where you are yet?
Not yet.
Right.
I still feel like I'm on a long flight from Philly. Oh my gosh.
All
I just
roads
got
lead
in
to
from Philly.
Philadelphia.
And boy, are my arms tired. No, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thanks. We'll be here all week. Hi, everybody.
Literally.
Literally. What a fantastic show we have planned. We've got so much to do. It was really great to, if any of you guys are jumping in and watching us, who I met at Bead Fest in Philly, welcome. It's good to have you guys. And I just wanted to say, you and Grace were en fuego last week.
We had such a good time. It was really smooth. And Grace is a great student, and she just went right along, trusted me.
It's great.
Even when she wasn't sure it was going to work.
Right? Have to trust. It's awesome.
It was awesome.
Well,
So,
we have, as always, Brandwin and Grace behind the camera, and Emily and Kate in front of the camera.
And Janice and Drea.
And Janice is
Drea.
moderating, and Drea's over there with her over on the East Coast. So you're well taken care of. Well, we just wanted to shout out and say good morning or afternoon. You know,
Or evening.
or evening. You know,
Depending
one
on
of the
where you
things, it was really funny when I was watching the Facebook Lives, or when we did the Facebook Lives from the East Coast, I really realized it's 3 hours later. So when we say good morning, those of you who guys are watching in different time zones, you're like, yeah, it's the afternoon
Not so
or
much
whatever.
here.
So good day to everybody. Well, who have we got watching there? Gracie Grace?
Well, of course, Geeta's on. Kim,
Oh, hey,
Hi,
you guys.
Geeta.
Hi, Geeta.
June, Joanne. Oh, Kim already says, happy birthday, Gwen.
That's right. Is my mom on? Have
she
you
was
seen her?
earlier.
Mama?
I don't see her now.
Ma, are you there?
Debbie, Kathy, Amy, Sue.
Oh, hello,
Lots of
Sue.
girls. Let me see if Gwen's
Cool.
on. Gwen's not on yet. And
Oh.
Geeta says good evening.
Good evening.
And then Kim says, yes, I'm in
Indeed.
Florida, but I go with it.
Yes, it's true. Yes. Sorry, I have to. I'm getting out my Kleenex that you
I
handed me
know.
earlier.
I
Sorry,
know.
my nose is
I
kind
got
of
you.
itchy.
I got
There
you.
we go. Am I okay?
You're fine.
Am I all right?
You're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I wouldn't let you. No,
Okay,
you
wouldn't
know.
throw me under
No.
the bus.
No.
Excellent. Yes. Well, you know, we had a pretty amazing bead fest,
Sounds
which
like
I
it.
want to share.
And it was pretty well
But
attended
Gracie,
over
when
there.
my mom jumps on, is she on?
She
My
is.
mom is on. Happy
Hi,
birthday!
Gwen.
So we have a little something special. So hey, you guys, my mom's on Facebook Live.
Debbie, it's also her birthday today.
Oh, and Debbie, you share my mom's birthday.
That's
Come on, you
excellent.
guys, come
Come
on
on,
out.
come on.
Brandon, come around from the other side. Karen, come out.
I was fixing my hair.
Oh, you're
Oh,
fixing your hair
thank
because you look super cute. Do we have everybody?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we have a big happy birthday, Gwen! Yay! From everybody here at beadshop.com. So happy birthday, Mama.
Thanks for watching.
Yes.
We love your
you're
support.
the best. And Deb, it's your birthday too. So happy birthday to you. You share a very special day with my mom. And you know who else's birthday it is today?
No.
You guys will never guess. My mom shares a birthday with, my mom will say, Rick Springfield. That's right. That's a big one. Big one for us 80s girls. So anyway, well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Mama.
Gwen.
So we'll throw that in your little order, Ma. We know that you have an order earlier. Anyway, happiest of birthdays. It's really true. Whenever it's my mom's birthday, we always wish Rick Springfield happy birthday.
Do you know who
too.
I share a birthday with? I didn't
No.
know this. Frida Kahlo and I have the same birthday.
That's right. You know what you do?
I know.
You and
It's
Frida.
cool.
The 5th.
The 6th.
6th.
Close.
So close. Sometime in July, I knew. So,
She said, how sweet, thank you.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Mama. And I've got something else. I bought you your birthday gift at Bead Fest.
I saw it. It's very nice.
And speaking of Bead Fest, you guys, we had such a great time. Janice and Drea were there
joined
with
you?
me. Yeah,
Is that
they
Drea's
joined
first
me.
beach show?
Yeah, well, Drea has had some jewelry industry, bead industry experience,
Oh, good.
but it was her first one that she'd been to in a really long time.
Right.
So it was really great. And it was great to just connect.
I was a little jelly of you guys.
Well, we missed you.
I did
we
miss
missed
you.
all. We missed all of you.
Next year.
Yeah, next year in Philly. And you guys, I just also wanted to mention, just real quick, while we're doing all this chitty chat, You know, a lot of you watch this broadcast a little bit later on our YouTube channel or even on our homepage at beadshop.com. You know, we've built such a large worldwide beading community here, you know, through our Facebook Lives. I did want to mention that if you don't love all of our chitty chat, and we totally understand that some of you want to get right down to the learning, usually about 15 minutes into the broadcast is when the learning starts. So if you're watching this going, okay, Kate and Emily, pipe down, we want to get to the learning, just fast forward right down there underneath your browser or underneath the video to about 15 minutes in. And what we're actually going to start doing is that Karen is going to start adding, or we'll also add it into the episode notes, kind of a timestamp.
And you know, those episode notes are really great because Janice does make a little notation of the time when something's happening. And if you are scrolling around like you've got a problem and you know that we're covering it, but you don't want to wait, you know, look at the episode notes and kind of skip ahead.
Yeah.
However, I would encourage you not to always skip this intro portion. There's times where we go over some problems that people are having,
or we talk
expand
about
on
viewer things.
and sometimes that'll cover the problem that you're having and give you that quick little answer, you know.
No, it's really true.
One of the things we miss about not having the bead stores around is that you could walk in somewhere and get an answer. And you just don't have that as easily as you used to.
No, and so the whole part of kind of gathering around the bead table is gathering around the bead table.
Right. And you know your question that you put out on Facebook just recently about creativity?
Yeah.
I really thought about that for quite some time.
Did you?
I did. And I realized that my creativity kind of, what makes me kind of pop, or what, I forget what the term you use,
the jolt. Give you your jolt.
Yeah, sometimes the jolt is watching other people.
Yeah.
And sort of seeing what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes my jolt is taking a nap, but
Yeah, well, it's true. I do like a nap. Well, one of the so what Emily is referring to, and it kind of really does tie in with Beadfest. Beadfest kind of got me thinking, and Janice and Andrea, I think, really felt the creativity, and I'm going to share with you a couple of photos from that kind of distills the creativity that everyone did. But my question that I posed it was on my personal Facebook page, but you can certainly chime in here if you'd like, or go to my Kate Richburg page and chime in there because I made the post public. Was, do you think that creativity is either innate or is it learned? And, you know, what does everyone have that creativity in them? As well as what gives you that creative jolt. You know, we all talk about, oh, we're creative and oh, we like to make things, but I like to know what that moment is that takes you from like reading the magazine or scrolling on Pinterest or talking with a creative friend. What takes you from that point to actually sitting down at your work table? What gives you that jolt, you know? And that's a couple of the things, some of the things I've been asking, because it really was kind of a creative extravaganza this weekend.
I really felt, and I answered this in your post this morning when I got here at 7:30, was jewelry making for a lot of years for me has been kind of about problem solving. How do I get this to connect to that? Or what kind of glue, or what kind of knot or needle, or sometimes it's even the tool that you need to buy to do something with. But for me, it's been about problem solving and having to figure out how to make something happen.
Right. So, and the best way to do that sometimes, I think, is just sitting right down at the table and going, all right, I'm going to work through it. I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to, you know, do it again.
Well, you and I have had some epic, like, problem solving sessions.
Yeah.
And it's super
fun.
It's super fun and it's super invigorating.
Yeah.
But I think that problem solving and that feeling free to think outside the box, or feeling free to
screw up.
To screw up, or to just try to experiment and experience. And you know, a lot of people say, "Well, you're so much better at it than I am." It's like, well, yeah, I've done it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
You do it 100 times, and you'll be different.
Well,
for sure.
And one of the things that I was talking about with people this weekend is it really has been, this is my 25th year of actually teaching jewelry design, and the freedom of being able to, you know, sit down and troubleshoot and screw up. That's the thing, you
Well,
know, and
and-
work through those problems.
And when you're a teacher,
I
what,
think
what
that's-
people don't see is they don't see the
Well, sometimes they do.
but some it's true.
Some of my
Sometimes we
demos
share
this weekend, I was all, oh, nice one, nice one.
but they don't see the errors or the jar of things that didn't work or and sometimes you never forget that thing
Right,
that didn't work
right.
and it's always in your mind.
Right.
And other times you have to relearn the lesson, which
Right.
lifelike in those
Right.
ways, but
And then you just, you keep moving forward
yeah,
with those
yeah,
ideas.
yeah.
Well, Gracie, how we doing? We've got
Doing
questions?
really well. A lot of people saying that they love the chit chat.
Well,
And we had some discussion about creativity, and a lot of people say, well, Roxy says, my jolt is I'm addicted to beads and beading.
oh, yes,
But
yes.
we had a few really good comments. Faith said creativity is subjective. Everyone has creativity,
Yeah.
but not all can express it.
Yeah,
And then someone else said that the masters were once novices, because you guys were talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah. It's
For sure. I mean, I remember, and I've shown some of my very first early projects, which were bad.
Yeah, my
And-
mom has, she has one of my first projects,
Mm.
and one of her favorite things to do is pull that first project out. I bet, Ma, you're going to bring that to the bead retreat. If I know my mom, she'll bring it. Well, I wanted to share with you guys, and we have just a couple minutes here, but I wanted to go over and share with you some of the great photos from this weekend. And what I loved about this photo was, so Christine, who watches us every week and came to our meet and greet. So our meet and greet was on Friday,
Right.
and your broadcast for
Was
the Brick
Wednesday.
Stitch bracelet was Wednesday.
Yeah. From Wednesday to
Christine,
Friday.
from Wednesday
so
to
48
Friday.
hours.
That Christine, so there's Christine.
How did she
right
get
there.
her order that
Hi,
fast?
Christine.
And then she had to order it.
Right. Well, she may have had it in her stash because
Maybe.
you know
That's true.
people. And I meant to ask her. I should have. Like Christine, if you're watching, tell us. So it's kind of hard to see, but there's our Christine. There's me, and I'm pointing to her wrist, and what she is wearing is the Brick
Stitch
Stitch
bracelet.
bracelet right there that
Yeah.
she had made.
That was
So
amazing.
it was
Christine.
really, really
Nice
fun.
work, Christine.
So yeah, really nice work.
Yep.
And then
Staying to the same subject.
yeah, so Kendra,
This is a
Kendra.
longtime student of mine, Kendra,
yeah,
and
I'm going to make this a
she
little bit bigger.
has struggled multiple times with working with seed beads and small beads.
Mhm.
So she went up to a size 8
Oh,
seed bead on
great.
these and felt
With this.
much better.
Okay.
She also used a shorter needle. And
Oh, great.
there is a beading needle that you can use that's shorter and stiffer called a Sharps needle.
Oh yeah, I like a sharps.
So do I. I like a Sharps mostly when I have to go around in a circle or
Mm-hmm.
make it into a tight corner. But Sharps needles, if you feel like that long needle is too wimpy for you, they can be really handy. And she just went to town. She followed all the directions, obviously, and everybody did it.
Yeah.
Both you and Christine.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough, they're both the same project. It's
Yeah.
really great.
No, it was great.
Yes.
Speaking of Christine, she said her stash.
Oh,
Oh.
it was in your stash.
Nice
Good girl.
work, Christine. See, it pays to have a stash.
It does.
Let me show you.
If you see a bead you love, buy it.
Buy it. That's our
3.
mantra,
Yeah,
right?
buy 3.
Let me show you what else. So I wanted to share with you. We did have a meet and greet, as those
That's
some
such a
of you
great
know.
picture.
And it's such a fun, so we've got people right here. So this is from my classroom, right here. And I know, Brand, when you're in it, right? You're tight in it.
Yeah.
Everybody just showed up. It was really great.
Michelle says it was great meeting you.
Oh, Michelle, it was great meeting you. Yeah. It was
I see
really
Susan
fun.
Casmer in
We
the
had a great-
background having
Yeah,
a great
Susan
time.
Casmer. Susan's classroom was right next to mine. So
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
you're
could
lucky.
hear her. We could hear her hammering and laughing, and it was really fun. It was it was great. So she came over.
Was that the
with her
banging I
assistant.
heard during your, you guys were doing a little,
Yeah, no, I think there was students like right in the classroom hammering because I brought my disc cutter, so people were hammering. Let me show you a couple of other cool photos, cool snaps. So as you guys know, if you tuned in, you saw, one of my first loves is, of course, well, my first love is beading, but I also did show, we did a lot of metalwork. So I thought this was kind of a poignant, kind of a great photo to kind of show kind of creativity and and so this is one of my students who was in class, and that was the demo ring that I made. So I loved that one. I thought it was great. And then I have a couple more kind of cool photos to show you from my classes. You know, it was really fun. I feel like if you can get to a bead show, and there are shows all over the country, Bead Fest, the next one we're doing is Bead Fest Tacoma. This was our rings class, and you can see everybody did such a great job. This is our tube setting rings class. And then last but not least,
I love the rings with the little stars on them.
it was really fun. Yeah, that was from tube setting.
Mhm.
And this was a pendant class, and everybody did really, really, really well. And you can see some of those pieces there. And there's a couple that still need to be set, but it was really great. We had a really, really great time. So, you know, talking about creativity and fostering creativity and where you get your creative spark from, I think it was kind of a fun way to kind of come together, you know, in the bead world. And I know that Janice and I, Andrea, we got, I think, a really good spark and dose of creativity. And we have a whole bunch of really new, fun stuff that's coming from there.
I know, I
which
can't
was
wait to see all the
great.
beads.
We've got a little bit of a preview we had for you guys on the Facebook Live and stuff. So it was really, really fun. So if you can join me, our next Bead Fest will be in Tacoma. That's in October, I think. And it'll be on this coast, so it'll be real fun.
Really
so,
pretty event center in Tacoma there,
yeah, isn't
looking
it
out over the
pretty?
water. And
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
really
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah, because you were there last year. Yeah, it was really fun. So, yes.
Debbie, who shares a birthday with your mom, lives near
Yes.
Tacoma.
Oh,
wants to know
great.
more about it. But
Oh.
and Dee just posted a link just now about Bead Fest Tacoma. Someone asked where she can get the dates for the bead show.
Yeah, so you can always go to my personal website. It's katerichberg.com, and I put where I'm teaching there. But you can also, the big ones, you can look up Bead Fest and bookmark Bead Fest. Bead Fest will travels around the country. Philly is the big East Coast one. Tacoma is the big West Coast one. And then they kind of switch back and forth.
Santa Fe, too?
Between Santa Fe and Texas. It'll be in Texas next year.
Okay.
In
Dallas or
Dallas,
something.
yeah. Will be the next one. It's in March. And of course, always the big Tucson Gem Show,
Right.
where I teach, and there's a lot of great classes going on and fun stuff like that. So we always try and let you know what's going on here at beadshop.com, where we're traveling and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But Tacoma is going to be great. It'll be in October. It's a smaller show, so especially if
There's some really
you
choice
get-
vendors that are going to be there, though.
yeah, really great. And like people like Candy Cooper, Candy
Disco
will be there.
Disco the Stones.
Yeah, Dakota Stones is, you know,
Raven's
a lot
Journey,
of, yeah, a
all
lot
those
of
guys.
great stuff.
Mhm.
And you'll see like a lot of great demos and a lot of great classes. So it's good times.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
a lot of fun. So, well, shall we jump in?
Let's do it.
Emily Miller.
Oh, I can't wait to do this. This is such a fun project.
So as you can see, what I'm wearing. Ask me what I'm wearing. No, seriously. Ask me what I'm wearing.
What are you wearing?
Thank you. I thought you'd never ask. It's the it's the Summer
You
of Love.
weirdo.
I'm sorry. It's the Summer of Love earring, you guys. I love these components. And Janice picked these up. We found these a few months ago, and a lot of you guys have seen the bib necklace that I've done. But this is kind of the smaller version, the earring version of that. And we thought it would make a really, really fun earring. And since this is the big
Anniversary.
50th anniversary
Summer of Love.
of the Summer of Love, right? Here in San Francisco, we thought we'd name it after the Summer of Love earring because it has kind of a boho feel and stuff too. I thought it was a great earring to do for my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
You know, have done on that birthday because my mom loves earrings, and she was
At the Summer of Love.
yeah, she made it then. And I also wore, in honor, my mom will recognize this brooch, but I thought I'd do kind of a little pop of color, kind of 60s color. But this is a brooch from, that also my gran really wore, but it is a 60s, definitely a 60s brooch. For sure.
Authentic.
Authentic. So we're going to share a lot of great technique in these earrings today. We're going to talk about wire. We're going to talk about cutting chain. We're going to talk about working and using head pins. We're going to do the briolette wrap that we've got on here, as well as we're going to talk about gluing and gluing these little pieces to metal, the little seed beads and stuff, which I think is going to be super, super helpful. So Barring any other questions, Grace? No?
we're
All
good.
right, let's jump
Awesome.
in.
All right.
Let's
Time to
get this
move the
show on the
camera.
road. Okay, I need a couple of plastic baggies.
Like the ones over there by your pliers?
Yes, how smart you are, Emily Miller.
Have one too?
Nope. Of course. So we've got all of our ingredients kind of in front here. And so we did these in 3 different flavors. And I don't know, do we need to part ways on this, Brandwin, so you've got a clear view? Would that be
Yeah,
easier
that might-
for you?
Yeah,
How's that?
that's
Do you
good.
like that better?
We do have a pretty good view all the way down to the
Great.
table, so to the front of the table.
So let's take a look.
I just have to say,
Uh-huh.
Ray said far out fun day. Because a lot of
That's
people are saying
right.
like groovy and stuff.
Right,
in the
groove.
comment.
Ruve. It's true. Yeah, if you guys are still, it may have finished, though I think it's still going on. Maybe it ends pretty soon, but our DeYoung Museum here in San Francisco did a really great Summer of Love exhibit that it's at the DeYoung, and I think it goes on maybe till the end of the month. It's almost ready to close, but it's a fantastic exhibit that shows a lot of textiles and art and all kinds of cool stuff from that Summer of Love here in San Francisco. So we've got 3 different flavors of these earrings, and when we got these pieces in, you know, I started to think about designing with this earring, with this component, and designing an earring, and right away I had it go this way, right? So it was up like this, and then I was playing around with adding like chain here at the bottom. I'm going to do my little drawing. So I had chain down here like this, and maybe more chain, and I was really having trouble kind of making this whole thing work. I felt that the look was kind of awkward. And then, I don't know, maybe it was Karen, maybe it was you, I can't remember who said.
I think it might have been Janice,
It might have been
actually.
Janice that she said, turn that finding upside down.
Mhm.
And the kind of the lights went on for me. I was like, wait, what? That's super, super smart. So, so I kind of did it this way and did the designing like this. And then I thought, well, it's really kind of bare in here. So we used in the center, we used a 6mm fire polish. And as you know, those fire polish beads have a hole in them like this. And then we thought that would be the perfect thing to do a little wire wrap to. So that's kind of how the design of this piece came about. Now, if this earring isn't quite your bag, you know, this size or whatever, you could connect this to chain and have it go, come on, chain. You could connect the chain here, and then on the other side, and have this as your centerpiece. It would look really nice too. So it would kind of be a smaller necklace version than maybe one of those big bibs. But you could also then
I
turn
really
it around
like this as
way.
a necklace piece, actually.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't wear earrings quite this large,
Mhm.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a necklace, I think it's a really stunning kind of centerpiece.
Yeah,
Vocal.
yeah, and I feel it has kind of some, you know, it kind of has a, I don't know, boho vibe, or, you know, it just depends on like the colors and stuff that you choose with it. We did some stuff with the 4mm check fire polish, and then to kind of glitz it or glam it up, I went to the
Natural
natural
briolettes.
briolettes to kind of give it a spark, which I love. But you can, you know, you can take this design and kind of run with it the way it works for you. But this, I just thought this was a really terrific piece. So when they came to us, they were naked. They had nothing glued in. They just came like this. And you certainly could use it like this, right? Kind of empty. But I started playing around with these little holes, these little indentations. And if you had like little rhinestones or something, you could put those in there. But I thought it would be perfect. I thought it would be perfect for adding seed beads into. And so I added some seed beads that were colors, you know, the regular size 11s, and I played around with those. But then I went to our metal seed beads, and I just loved the way the metal seed beads fit in here just perfectly. And you can kind of, if you set them on their side and glue them in, they just look right at home. And what I tried to do when I was gluing these in was line the holes up. Whoops, get back there. Was line the holes up so they looked fairly even when I was doing it. But you know, they're so tiny, that's just kind of making kind of a mountain out of a molehill. But you could also use kind of mixed metals. Like if I had a silver piece here, I could put in the copper seed beads to make this even more of kind of a boho piece. Mixed metals are super hot right now. Well, they've always kind of been hot. I don't know. We always say that, oh, mixed metals are so in this season. Well, they're always kind of in, I feel like. Let me see, maybe.
There's been some talk,
Yep.
Kate, of
Mm-hmm.
turning it sideways to look like a moon.
Oh,
Yeah.
you guys,
Ginger
wait, what?
said
Where,
that, and
where,
then,
where were you when I was
Trish
designing
said
this, you
eclipse
guys?
Again, which is cool.
Oh, yeah. What? On the side? That's the best idea I've heard all day.
Well, that's interesting. It kind of
Right?
takes it to a deco, even more deco than before.
Yeah, come on. And look at how cool, I think that mixing the metals, all three of those in that silver one, and kind of ombre. You know how we like an ombre.
Could shadows work there?
Yeah, when don't shadows work? Come on now.
You know, you could also do some like pearlescent size 11 seed beads
Yeah, I
that would
could.
look like little pearls
Yeah,
set in there.
I totally could. So here's this, right?
Oh,
I could
yeah.
string. Or I could wire wrap. I also really thought about wire wrapping or, I don't know, something. But look at that. It could go all the way up. And this is how, you guys, I troubleshoot, speaking of like we were earlier, speaking about creativity and how you would want to pull things kind of together. So maybe this would all come into one, I don't know, single strand, right? I don't know.
With a
right?
heavy chain maybe on the
Yeah,
other
with
side.
a heavy chain, right? So this could go one way. And then over here, we could get,
Take that right out of your hand.
right,
when
do
you
it,
need it.
do it, Emily Miller.
I would do maybe a bunch of strands.
Yeah, a bunch of strands, like 2 and 2, or yeah, like have all those strands there. Or I could kind of to duplicate what we had going on with the earring. I could do dangles, right? Dangly,
Yeah,
dangly
absolutely.
bits, right there and there. Look at that, and I'm gonna have you. You know what? For episode notes, because I know what Janice is saying. Janice is
Leave
like.
it there. Leave it there. Let me
Janice
get
is like, let me get a good shot, so we get a screenshot of that for the episode notes. And then, I don't know, I could maybe just wire wrap that dangle right there, and then maybe have that guy there, and have another dangle, and then I'll get my fingers out of the way, Barandwin, so you can shoot a really good something there.
People were talking about teardrops working really nicely.
Right?
And the weight of one of these earrings is 0.335 ounces.
Oh, okay. 0.335 ounces. So they're fairly light, you know. But wouldn't this be cool? And then this could be like here, kind of on the side,
Right.
you know, so not right in the middle. And then again, maybe I would do like 2 strands of this chain M coming out of both of those.
Yeah.
We may just have to make this necklace up. It's
know.
really, really cool. Great job, Facebook Live Hive Mind.
Then it makes
Good
me want to
one.
do this to it too. Like,
Talk to me. Talk
what
to
if
me,
we were
Goose.
to make this hang a little off center and maybe take away one of those loops? So it hung a little bit more like a crescent moon, right?
So, or we
So
could
couldn't we
even
cut one of those loops off?
we could, or we could just dangle from those loops and have all of this go here.
Yeah.
We could do this, and we could wire out from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that little
I
bit
like
of
that
asymmetry too.
Yeah,
Little tiny stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Brandon wants a
Right.
tiny little
A
star
tiny- the
hanging down there.
tiniest star. I am really.
You got the crescent moon right away, right?
I am so digging the gold, copper, and silver seed beads in this. And maybe I would do.
I think I'd put some more copper in there because I think it warms it
Yeah.
up a little bit.
we
Maybe
could do
copper
that.
chain.
We could do the copper chain with it.
Angela
Mix.
was asking if
Mhm.
they make bracelets and check glass bracelets.
You know, oh, look at how that chain just really, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Looks great.
It does look great. They do. You know, we have some drops right now that we just released last week, 2 weeks ago. And those check drops would look pretty amazing in
They're
there.
not quite as gemmy to my eye.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
not faceted.
They're not faceted, but
I
they just don't have
Yeah,
the sparkle
Right.
and of a.
of a natural stone. Check drops do, though I have seen them faceted. They're just not quite as rich.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I have
it could
seen
be.
them in my
It
world.
could be.
Yeah.
You know, there
Mhm.
there could be Swarovski drops. There could be a variety of different kind of crystal. You know,
Yeah,
bits and
there's all
pieces that you
kinds.
could do with this.
And this is a great way, so if you guys do get this earring and, you know, you get some of the different components that we're doing here, if the earring isn't your bag, really take up the challenge of starting on a fresh piece or a fresh, design board, and just start to lay things out. This is how I do a
Me
lot
too.
of my designing.
yeah, me too.
So it would be really, really fun. So that was so thanks you guys. Nicely done. So let's just jump in then, and I'll show you how I want to start. The way I started with the earring is I started with the gluing. So let's move all this to the side. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see things. And let's get there with the glue. And that was the circle back chain. I just wanted to confirm that was circle back. But you know, we have so many chains at beadshop.com, and the finishes are all plated so they match. So you can kind of move easily in and out of all of these different components, and they'll all match pretty nicely. All right, so which one shall we glue? I don't know. I'm liking the silver one. Should we just go with that?
Sure.
So I'm going to get my trusty toothpick here, and we've got our trusty glue. Now I want to talk a little bit about gluing on metal, and this comes from way back in the day when we used to do a lot of gluing at our brick and mortar store. We used to do these with big rhinestones, and we'd make a puddle of the glue and add those rhinestones into the glue, and then use those as the base for what we used to call a glitzy earring. So gluing is something that I really, really love doing. And, you know, the glue of choice that I'm going to be using today is this Zap glue. And Emily, did you use the Zap before you came here?
I didn't. I used a different. I think it was a different brand of gel
Gel glue.
cyanoacrylate. Yeah, super glue basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really,
The gel is
love
so
it.
much easier to control
Yeah.
than the old kind. It's sort of night and day.
And it really holds.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
was
great.
a little skeptical, I'll be honest, because
Well, as traditional jewelry people, we understand that glue is sort of impermanent mostly.
right.
And and if you've ever had a rhinestone pin where the rhinestones started falling out,
Yeah.
it's pretty typical.
Yeah.
So I think that we tend to shy away from that because
Yeah.
we're a little bit worried about the longevity of things.
But I'll tell you what I have glued with the Zap. I'm a convert, I'll tell you. So that's why I chose the Zap for this. I chose the Zap over my Hypo Cement, though you could use the Hypo Cement
I don't find the hypocement glue is that strong.
I want to say as grabby. You know, it really
Yes.
grabs like this Zap. Since it's the gel, it really grabs onto your piece. And if you leave it undisturbed, you shouldn't have any trouble with it while it cures. So the way that I did this was I put this on a plastic baggie so that later, if any extra glue goes through my little filigree piece, or especially on the back here when I glue my big stone in, I just simply peel the plastic baggie away off the other side. So when you get a new Zap, it comes closed like this, and you just pierce it with this lid, which I've done here. And then you put on this little tip. Now, I extrude a little bit of that glue right out onto my baggie, like that, so it's ready to work with. And let's put our lid on. And you want to pair, I like working with our knotting tweezers for little tiny
Gripping
hands.
and
Yeah,
moving
to
things
do
around.
that. And then I'm just going to start by getting a little bit of glue here on my toothpick. And I'll need to get a little closer to my eyes. The thing about doing this on this surface is it's far away, so I can't see anything. So hopefully I'm getting them right into those little cups. But you want to get it right in there, and you don't want so much that when you put your seed beads in there that the glue's going to kind of gush out all over the place. So I've done 5 of these.
And this glue dries really quick.
Yeah.
So you have to be kind of
So you want to
aware.
be in there. Yeah, you don't want to put like the glue in there and go, oh, now let me figure out what my design is. You want to have your design ready to go. And see how I'm placing these little holes so the holes are right to the sides. And if you really want to detail this and be as kind of, I don't know, kind of really persnickety about where you're placing this, you could make sure, oh, see, this is gluing already. I can't move it. Don't fool around. So I got to get in there. So I'm trying to place them where the holes kind of line up. But you know what, if they don't, and someone is that close to your ear and they point that out,
Tell them to back off.
yeah, because if someone's that close to your ear, they better not be criticizing you.
They better be ready to whisper sweet nothings in
That's
your ear.
right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think I did 5. And I'll just give them a little tap tap. I can do that with the back of my tweezer. And then I'll just keep going. Get my little mound of glue, get some more in there.
So, you know, Kate, one of the things that I've always been interested in as we make jewelry is
Mm-hmm.
kind of doing things in particular sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this makes sense. And I think I would start here just normally. that
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm going to do my gluing first so that it can sort of set aside
Right.
while I work on all my other parts.
Exactly.
And that way my glue has its time to dry and hang out.
Right.
And so to me that sequencing really makes sense. But if you were new to gluing or new to that, I think having that sequence of events happening in a smooth way can really make life a little easier. Means no waiting, no fooling around. You're kind of ready to rock and roll when your other pieces are all assembled. I know for earrings, one of the things I've always really liked was to assemble them somewhat at the same time,
Yeah.
like an assembly line.
Exactly.
So I do whatever I do on one piece, I do to the other right at the same moment, so that my measurements are pretty close,
Right,
and things kind of
exactly.
happen at the same time.
And you also, you know, sometimes I suffer, as we say in knitting, you know this, Emily, the second sock syndrome, right?
I'm still on my
knit-
first sock
right,
syndrome. So.
Right. Well, you knit the first sock, and then the second sock, you're all, yeah, I'm overdoing this. It's kind of the same thing with like a component like this. You do one, and you're like, oh my God, now I've got to do the second one. Maybe I'll just make a necklace. So, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to glue that fire polish piece in. Now, can you see I'm being, it's not, you know, it's like the Three Bears. Not too much, not too little, just the right amount, right?
You're being generous,
So-
but not
But not
overdoing
overly
it.
excited, yeah. And I'm
Oh, I
bringing
tend to
that
get kind of
all the way
excited.
around. Well, with glue, I don't know. I really love working with glue. Then, this is the kicker, you guys. If you want to make that dangle, you need to make sure that you're gluing this piece in place in the right direction. And of course, I did just what I told you not to do, or what I thought to tell you in my head not to do, is don't push that hole down too far, or else you won't be able to get the head pin through. And one of the things I made the mistake the first time doing was I didn't put the head pin through right away, or I could even put the head pin through first and then glue it down. I glued my bead down, and I glued it. It was just slightly off, so I had a heck of a time getting that head pin through there.
That's
Right.
But that's one of those learning things where you don't have to do that more than once,
more
right?
than once, right. I did it once. I did it on one of these earrings, and I was like, I'll never do that again. So I try and put that head pin in right away.
Yeah, I think
You
that
know,
makes good sense.
And then if there's a little bit of glue that gets that head pin into that bead,
That's okay too.
all the better,
Yeah.
so that the head pin doesn't spin around. So when you make your loop is nice and stationary.
Mhm.
So that's about it for this. And then I just kind of set it aside and let it do its thing, and then we'll come back to it.
Cool.
But that's it. Pretty nice. And I do really think that these are kind of have a real deco feel to them. I thought about doing this as well, to do a double strand lariat. Now I could do my lariat string up from here and have these be the terminus of the bottom of each lariat and bring this together and have big tassels coming down. Wouldn't that be, it'd be so like decadent.
We could do that on a crocheted rope.
Oh, it'd be really cool.
Right, something
yeah.
black or crystal.
Yeah.
Crystal black lined seed beads
Yeah.
on black thread.
It'd be really
Yeah.
cool.
It'd be swishy.
And these would terminate on both sides into a lariat. I still have my tiara on my mind, my Art Deco tiara. 'Cause
oh, your tiara is so cool.
Well, so many of you guys who went to Bead Fest this weekend, it was so cool to meet so many people who watched the show. And I was telling everybody earlier, people wish that they wanted to see our tiaras live. So, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll take the tiaras on a traveling road show. But so I still have tiaras on the brain. So we'll go ahead and we'll put these aside. And you know what I do when I have my spare glue? I just
glue it in itself.
yeah, I just turn that over so I don't accidentally glue my hand to my
Because that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'm not a big super glue fan for that reason. I've glued my fingers together too many
Oh
times,
yeah,
and it's
so many
irritating.
times. But you know, the glue management, good glue management.
Good glue management.
Okay. So next, what we're going to do, and you know what I actually, well, I don't need it yet, but I'll probably just use my coffee cup for that. I'll tell you. Hold that thought.
All right.
Do you know what I'm going to do?
I think I do.
Okay.
I was going to show you an alternate method.
Oh, I like that too.
So you never know what you might see.
So next, what we're going to do is we're going to make a whole bunch of dangles that are going to dangle from the bottom of this. And so what we did when we were making these pieces, you know, of course, I always feel like I bite off more than I can chew. So I was, you know, running around the office going, who's going to help me finish these? And bless Cara's heart, Cara's all, I'll help you, Kate. And so I told Cara, I said, Cara, all I need you to do is do these little dangles and then add them onto the chain. So what Cara did was she actually just created all of these, put them on the chain, and then we cut them and did everything later. And I think that's a really good kind of shortcut. Now, what have you got going on there? I bet I know what you're going to do with this.
I have a trick
You have
for
a
working
trick.
with chain. I have a couple of tricks, of course.
Let's talk through those tricks while I prep some of these.
You know, I do like working with chain.
Do you want to scoot in? Do
Yeah,
you need to
I
scoot in a
will.
little bit more?
I'm going to move my plastic bag out of the way. I like working with chain and beads, and one of the things that I think you'll find sort of frustrating is to making sure that when you have loops of chain,
That they're all facing the same direction.
that the working that you're doing, and I'm going to draw, I get to draw on here too today.
Yeah, you do.
If my links of chain, and I'm just going to make really simplistic links here, if my links of chain have links that face front ways and flat to you, I really probably want my dangles to hang down from those same ones on each one. And to do that, I want to make sure I attach to the same plane. So I have some beads that are facing, or some loops of the chain that are flat, and some that are facing at 90 degrees to those.
That's exactly right.
So more difficult to show you than it is to say it. If I lay my chain out flat, and I use this happens to be a T-pin, but it could be really any pin.
This is, I have never,
You've never done this before?
no. And you,
I might be changing your world.
you changed my life. Rocking my world yet again, Emily Miller.
So if I do
what a
it
surprise.
like this, I can actually push the chain around, and it doesn't flop and flop. But one other tip that I will give you is that I don't cut my chain into little pieces too quickly.
No.
Little pieces are kind of a pain in the rear end.
Yeah.
Bigger pieces are easier to work with, and I think you waste your chain
You're a
less.
genius.
But I will actually put an extra link or two where I don't think I need it, because very often then you do need it, and then
And
you have
you're
to go
like,
back and
yeah.
wish I had done
Yeah.
better with that. So yeah, the T-pins can really help, but really, even just a straight pin from your sewing supplies.
No, I'm going to use a straight pin from. I'm going to do this right now.
All right, let me
I'm
give
so
you a couple
excited I
straight
can't even
pins.
talk. I'm gonna-
Ginger in all caps said awesome.
Yeah.
And that's
No.
how I felt too.
Ginger.
My gosh.
2,
You guys
4,
never done that
6,
before. That's why I
yeah.
was walking
Hey,
around
a
here this
lot of
morning going,
people.
do we have any U-pins?
2, 4, 6.
A lot of people thumbs up for that.
Yeah.
So that's a way to kind of control the chain a little bit so that you're not sort of
You-
flipping and flopping around quite so much,
Are a genius.
right? And if you happen to have in your toolbox, can I pull this out?
Do it. I love them.
If
Little
you happen to have a
rulers.
little ruler in your toolbox, this will actually help you with your alignment. So
I'm crying over here.
look, here's your ruler.
Oh,
I
Emily
know.
Miller.
Well,
I
I
love
know
these
you guys
little
keep me
rulers.
around for a reason,
Well, yeah,
right?
because you're a beating genius. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy right now.
Oh my gosh. Ginger wrote Emily for POTUS.
Yeah, yeah. Come on,
And then everyone said
POTUS.
yes. That would be
God.
great.
Emily.
So,
Emily is genius. In
I
all
also
caps.
I
Oh my
also
God.
tend to do things when I say an assembly line method.
That's what I'm doing right here.
That's what Kate's working on
and
right
I'll
now.
show you guys.
So
when Emily's
if I
done.
look at my chain
When Emily's
and my
done blowing our
pieces,
mind.
what I would do was count all the beads that I need and make enough for both of my
9.
earrings,
Yes.
because you're making a pair of earrings, so you need 18 if
Right.
this is 9. I would actually make all my parts for each one prior
right.
to actually beginning assembly.
Mm-hmm.
And what this does is it sort of speeds things along, I think. But earrings are one of those things that it's a pair. You want them to match.
Yeah.
There is room in the world to have asymmetrical earrings,
Yeah.
but most of the time, 99.999, I
Yeah.
think, you're looking for a pair,
Yeah.
not two earrings that are same materials but different.
But slightly different. And this is why, so when I do this, I really recommend assembly lining. So I'm going to slide this over here if that's
Yeah, do it.
okay. I'm going to pick up what you're putting down. And I did exactly that.
Yeah.
Is I come in, Bran, can you see this okay? Should I
Go right
move
on
it
top
like
of me.
this?
Go on top.
There you go.
There
Is
you
that
go.
good?
Yeah.
All good? All good in the
Oh,
hood?
good.
And what I find is when you assembly line, that you start getting a hand memory,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Yep.
So-
and a hand and an eye memory.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so,
I have one more trick
oh
to show
yeah,
you.
I like a trick,
I think everyone likes Emily's tricks.
right?
I have one more, and this is really applies to when you're doing multiples of things with head
Uh-huh.
pins. So you have 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple. So Kate is going to make a simple loop here.
Mm-hmm.
So she put her head pin through the bead, and she just used her fingers to bend it over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're already doing it. Never mind. You already know what I'm
I
going to say.
knew this trick.
You
It's
did?
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
So
this all the time.
Once you cut off
Yeah.
one head pin, use that one to
As
measure
your-
all the other
yeah.
ones. Yeah.
And so let me show you how I actually do that. Here's my head pin that I put my bead on. One of the things I think that people have trouble with, especially with small beads, is getting that tight right angle bend. So what I do is I hold it, and you guys, I do have to apologize. I've been metalsmithing all week. My hands are so grubby, but they're jewelry making hands.
Maybe we can go to manicure
definitely.
soon.
Yeah, let's go. Like maybe this afternoon. Let's run, don't walk. So see how I have my thumbnail though right up against there. I really use my finger and my thumbnail to hold that bead in place and then really push that down. So then I can come in and kind of push that even tighter like that.
You know,
So-
this is also a place where I would note that we are using a fairly thin head pin.
yeah, it's a
And
24 gauge head pin.
So it's fairly easy to bend. If you're working with bigger beads and heavier wires, it's harder,
Yeah.
but in a funny converse sort of way, you have a little more to hang on to.
Yeah, no, exactly. So one of the things that I do sometimes is I just hold this right up and kind of like when I cut my own bangs. Hopefully this will be less crooked than that. See how I just come in and I'll clip using my nice cutter, and then I'll even use that guy and go, okay, bam, and bam, and maybe I'll put that one over there. Maybe 3 is all my fingers can handle, but there. So they're about the same size, right? And then I always like to check my work, and this always makes me feel really super clever, is that look at whatever I
Really
cut away,
close.
they're all pretty close.
Yeah, because
Right.
if you had one that wasn't, you'd go look for it.
Yeah, and you
maybe
could kind of trim it down.
fix it or replace it.
But you can also, as you start to get an eye for what you're doing, I'm going to cut these, and I'm going to tell you,
You'll come pretty close.
I'll come pretty close because I'm doing them all at the same time. This is like the bead Olympics, right? Who can cut all these head pins at exactly the same length? There we go. See, they're all about
Pretty
the same.
close,
Yeah,
yeah.
all about the same size. Then, you know, for little bits of wire like this, if you were doing a 2-looped version, maybe like a rosary chain of this might be actually enough to use. So I would actually hang on to these little pieces.
And
you
certainly
know.
if I was working in precious metal.
Oh.
Gold, sterling or gold
For
filled.
sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
that would go in another jar.
Yeah, another jar. So there's these guys. Now, if you want to cut those
Sure.
up, I'll talk about
Looping.
looping. So, you know, looping, or this is what we call just a rosary loop or a regular earring loop. This is a loop that will come open unless you close this really, really well. So this is the part where you really want to make sure that your skills are, you know, are really up to par.
That's skills
And I'll
with a
show
Z,
you
right?
skills, right? Mad skills. Hey, do you have? I have it right here. I've got a Sharpie marker, and I want to show you my little trick for this. So I'm going to come in, and with my round nose plier. Now remember, you guys, a round nose plier. That's what we make our round loops with.
Because otherwise your loops will not be
No,
round.
will not be round. So this is the tool we're using. So I'm going to come in, and Brandon, I don't know if you can see this
I've moved the
really
camera,
well.
so I'm right in there.
right
just
in there. So you want to start making this loop, and we have a really great skill builder for this as well, you guys, how to make rosary loops. But I want to start that loop all the way at the end of the wire. And as I go, I'm going to go up and over the top in just little turns. So I turn, I open the tool, pull it back, turn, open the tool, and pull it back. And if you get it right in the right place, let me just close that, in the right place on your plier, then I'll open this and show. You can get it closed, and you can see I'm aiming for that bead hole so that I close my loop. I don't leave it open to add it onto the chain. I like to make sure that my loop is completely closed. Now, what I'll do so I'm consistent, I'll give myself a mark to aim for. So I know I'm going to use my Sharpie marker. It's a fairly thick mark, but I know that if I'm on this far side of this mark here, that's about where I want to be to turn my loop. Okay? So I'm going to come in and I'll line it up. Whoops, I marked the wrong jaw to face you guys. So it's this jaw, this side. If I line it up right there with the end of that mark, and I just go up and over, walk it over, bam, that's closed. And if it's not quite closed, you just want to make sure it's closed at that point. The thing about this technique is, you guys, you're usually right on track, and you want to keep, and I'll show you on this one, you want to keep that bend in the loop. You don't want to lift with the head of the tool. If you lift with the head rather than just looping it over, you're going to get rid of that, what we like to call the sacred bend, or the bend of the wire that you never ever want to lose.
I've always thought of that little loop, that little bend as the seat, that the loop's kind of sitting on top of that bend.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've always noticed about working with wire and metal is that small moves, multiple small moves, are usually a little safer
Yeah.
than making one great wrenching, crunching kind of manipulation.
Yeah, because the wire wants to be coaxed into the loop, right? You just want to say, hey, man,
And you're rolling right along on that road of that short stem.
yeah. Let me get this in there. So this way, your movements, you're starting to hone your movements. And, you know, from the first loop to the last, you'll see a little bit of improvement. But you start to get the, whoops, that one went.
Got it.
You start to get the memory in your hands. But let's get that right at the end of that wire. Because see that first bend that I make? See how that looks like a C, right? You really start that loop right away. And that's what gives you this really good, tight curve. Look at that. And make sure that it's sitting right at the top. And this is really the secret to making rosary loops that stay closed. Loop it over, loop it over, loop it over, loop it over. So those were 4 little turns. I'll make one last one here. Grab it right in the end. Loop it over, walk it down, walk it down, walk it down. Just like, whoops, not quite. There we go. All right, so now you've got both of your little bits, both of your little pieces gone on together. And Emily, you've pinned your chain in place. So let's take a look at what you've got.
Right. So I switched out to the silver plated chain so that we could actually have the right color for this particular project here. And now I did put my ruler back behind my T-pins, but keep in mind that you don't really have to be measuring just from the tip of the ruler. I'm really going to kind of work in here at about 1/2 inch to about 2.5, and that I'm sorry, from about 1/2 inch to about 1.5, 2.5 to give me a couple of inches worth of chain.
So you can grip.
Right, and this is going to be the chain that hangs at the bottom here, and these 2 chains are actually the same amount of chain. One's hanging a bit higher with jump rings, one's hanging a little bit lower with jump rings, but they're coming off of different places on
So
this
that's
earring.
what makes them stagger.
So that makes that overlap happen really nicely, right? So we have 9 pieces, and the easiest way to make an odd number of them work in a situation is to start in the middle.
Start in the middle and work
right?
your way out.
Work your way out. So there's a special way to open a simple loop, and that's a simple loop is a loop that we made just now that's not wrapped.
Right.
One of the things I like about simple loops is that they're short. So I have a little bead, I have just a little loop to go with it, right?
Right. Sometimes a wire wrap can make your bead dangle a little too far.
Right. Sometimes I want that length.
Right.
that
Sometimes
length,
you do.
But, yeah. So I'm just going to grab right at the opening where the end of the wire meets the bead,
And
I'm
you're
using
using
my
the chain nose,
chain
right?
nose pliers. And I'm going to swing this open. So it doesn't matter whether you pull it to you or away from you, but as you swing it out of plane, you can see now that I have sort of a corkscrew of a loop, and I've opened the loop quite a bit. So I've got enough room in there
To get
to
get
catch
your
the chain.
And the thing, Emily, I want to just show this really quick while you have that. I want to show you the converse, that what people would do, like if this is your loop right here. This is not the best loop, but I've kind of made a bigger one for scale. If you have your loop, and this is your rosary loop that you've made, okay, can you see that there, Brandon? Is that in?
You want to lay it down this way, maybe?
Is that?
I'll come over to where you are.
Okay, because I really want to illustrate this, because this is something that people do
It's a
all
common.
the time.
It's a common
It's a
problem.
common error.
Yeah, and it's one that's easy to
Make
fix.
sure that we get the camera on you before you start.
Okay.
So give it,
You tell me when we're
I think
ready.
we're good.
Okay. So what Emily just did was she grabbed it here, and she pulled the little end forward. Okay. And so when she comes back, she's just going to pull this right back. A lot of times what people do is when they have their loops, they grab it to the side,
And they unloop it.
they open it up like that.
Wah, wah,
Wah,
wah,
wah, wah. Super sad.
Just turn your
This
hand
way?
just a little bit. Yeah.
This way?
Perfect.
So trying to close that up and getting that loop closed, you'll never ever have a pretty loop again.
You've just wrecked all that work
Yeah.
you went to.
Yeah. So forward, as Janice likes to say, forward like a kickstand.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right? When
yeah.
you
yeah.
put your kickstand down on your bike, you
Same
push
kind
it
of feel.
out.
Yep.
Yeah. So you don't want to collapse it, you want to kickstand it.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab my chain here.
Back
And-
over to you.
All right. And I'm just going to pick a spot here in the middle.
Pick a spot.
Pick a spot, any spot.
And are you worried about which chain link where it's facing?
Not yet.
Okay, you just want to
This
be
first one's
consistent.
kind of free.
Okay. Got it. Free play.
Free play. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it and close it up again. So I've closed that link of my loop onto one of the links of the chain. And you can see now that this link is next to a link that moves in the opposite plane. So my next loop, my next bead I'm going to attach is going to skip one, go to the
And
next
go in
one.
the link in the same plane.
That way
right?
all my beads fall on the same
Mm-hmm.
plane. You know, this is such a small earring too,
Mm-hmm.
that if my links were a little, if I was off one or two here or there,
It doesn't make
wouldn't
much
really
difference.
make that much difference.
But Emily, I will tell you, this is the part that I dread, is putting these drops on, because it's kind of a pain in the you know what, because the chain goes all over.
Right.
I can't, the tip with the T-pins, it's just blowing my mind.
Right.
Yep. Question, Gracie?
Yes, Kathy wants to know why you close this all the way if you're just going to open it again.
It's a good question, Kathy. Is it Kathy?
Yes.
So if I don't close everything, I want the loop to be completely shaped.
Finished.
So that finished. So when I pull it forward, I'm not having to close it and pull it forward. I want it completely closed so that when I pull it forward like Emily just did, all I have to do is push it back and it'll be closed. So I'm not having to shape the loop at all and close it at the same time with something inside it. Does
There's-
that make sense?
Yeah, it's really two different processes and two different stages in the assembly. Making the loop is one state, and then the next state would be to attach it to something.
Yeah.
And those two states really don't overlap in this case.
It's kind of like when you're opening and closing a jump ring. You know, it's kind of almost the same technique. You wouldn't like make a jump ring only part of the way and then try to add it to something and then try and finish shaping it and closing it at the same time.
Right. And you know, I did a little production work for someone, making jewelry for her line. And boy, anything to make it faster and more accurate.
Right.
And this was one of the things we worked on.
And this is money. Yeah, if you
Right?
are money, it's a money
Time
saving.
was money.
Yeah,
Right?
time is money. That's really
So I'm working from the center out, and I'm just alternating, adding my loops.
And so you're working on your velvet board. Those
Right.
pins just go right in that velvet board.
Yeah, they just
really
slip right
easily.
into the velvet.
And so I see you're grabbing the top of the loop to
want
hold
this
it
guy.
in place,
Right?
while you then come from underneath, hooking that loop in
Yeah,
and
gravity's working for me here a little
closing
bit.
it down.
Right?
Yep.
So there's 5 of my 9.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually lay them out if you want to do it like this,
Mm-hmm.
so that you know exactly what's next, and you don't have to really think about it,
No, those are
you
great.
know, very much.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about the briolette wrap.
All right, I'm going to pull this
Okay.
back out of the way and come closer to my focal range, because
Do it.
I'm about at the outer red edge there.
Question?
No, it's not a question. It's actually a nice comment. Angela says, it's such a great chain because it's delicate but sturdy.
Yeah, it's really true. And these are all soldered closed, you guys. So it will take some
Abuse?
abuse. May I have the cutter, please? Some use and abuse without it coming apart. So I want to show you guys a couple of things, a couple of ways to deal with this briolette. And there's a couple of tutorials. There's a tutorial that we have on briolette wrapping. And I like doing that briolette wrap. But I also want to show you kind of my little way of doing this as well. And I have that, I'll show you, because we have it in 2 different ways here. And it's really, it doesn't really change. I want to see how you did this one. Yeah, that's what I thought. It doesn't really change the appearance of the piece, but it does change kind of the material that you use to wire wrap. So it's here, this one, and this one's done a little bit differently, and I'm going to do them both for you now. The way that I did this guy is I used, and you could use a ready-made eye pin, but I made my own eye pin out of this head pin. And we do have these already done in eye pins, but if you just have a head pin laying around, all I did was I cut the head off the pin, and I'm going to put a loop in the end, just like we did before. I'm going to roll this over to create my loop. Make sure it's closed. And I need to center that loop. You can bend the wire first and then loop it over, but I want to make sure that I retain as much of the wire as I can, so then I'll make that bend and then finish closing that loop up. Again, I'm going to get it closer to my eyes, you guys, just real quick, because I can't see that far. Bear with me here just a second while I get this in view. There we go. And nice and closed. So you can see what I've got here. There's my little eye pin. So now what I do is I'm going to wrap this briolette, but this loop will open and close, so I'm not making a closed like traditional briolette wrap. What I do is I get that pin right in here, and I kind of eyeball what I'm going to leave to wire wrap around, and I'll measure this so you guys can see. I leave, it's just under 1/4 inch, maybe it's about 3/8 of an inch, and I bend the side with the loop up like this. Can you see that step? Then I conform it to the side of the briolette. I'll hold this up so you guys can see it. Leaving a little neck that I can wire wrap around. Can you see that?
Just to turn it towards a little bit of an angle, yeah.
There we go.
Oh, perfect.
So that 3/8 of an inch, I've pushed up against the side of the briolette and then straightened. This is the portion I'm going to wire wrap around. And this is good if you're doing a briolette, if you really need to be able to open and close this loop. Sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you want a stationary, fully closed loop. And that's the second one I'll do for you in just a moment. But I'll push this up against to wrap it. I'll push it up against the briolette, and I'm going to wrap this wire from the top of the briolette to the bottom of the loop. And I like using these head pins because the wire is tempered and it's stiff, so it's going to stay in place. So I'm holding on to that loop, and then I'm just coming around with my fingers. Whoops. And you know what? So I want to show you guys this. This is sometimes if you bend back and forth too much, that's sometimes the woe that you encounter.
Too bad.
So let me get this together. It's because I was playing around with that loop a little too much when I was trying to bend it and make the loop nice and centered. I couldn't see it, so I was going back and forth a little too much. So it fatigued that wire, and that's one of the reasons you need to have a little bit of a delicate touch when you're working with tempered or closed wires like this, is that you can fatigue the wire and it'll bust. So I'm just getting to this point right here, so bear with me here just a second. There we go. So you can see I've recreated that just real quick. And let's wire wrap this. And, you know, no harm, no foul. You just, there's no crying in beads. You just come in and do it one more time. I'm going to actually hold this with my fingers. The thing about this first wrap is you don't want to, the briolets are kind of fragile, so you don't want to hurt or break the briolet loop, or the briolet hole rather. So maybe I'll just come right in there. There we go. I was having trouble getting a good grip on it, but there we go. Can you see how I'm wrapping it just from the very bottom there to the very top of the bead hole? And that's where I put my pliers, right there, and kind of push the briolet out of the way so I wouldn't nick it. Now I've done about 2 little wraps, and I'll come in and clip that little extra wire away, putting my thumb over the top so the wire doesn't come up and hit me in the head. And then I will close this sucker up so it's the little end of the wire is nice and even. And then you can see, just like I opened and closed the loops for the chain, I can open and close it that way. And then the way that this connects, and I'll just vamp right into connecting it here.
Ooh, your glue's
Because
dry,
this is
huh?
ready. Yeah.
Awesome.
So what I'll do is we did this just as a loop, I think, right?
Simple
I
loop,
just
yep.
want to make sure. So I just bend that loop right at the top of this bead hole, and I'm going to come in, clip it away, and not having again too large of a loop, and then you just roll it over like I did that simple loop, right? Just like so. The loop is forward just a little because of the
Component.
yeah, the component's getting in the way there, but I just want to make sure that's closed. Then I can come in and I'll attach the loop that I just made, if I can see it. There it goes. And gravity is my friend, so I'll let it kind of pull the component out of the way. And I'll use my bent chain, because that really gets like my little fingers right in there, and close it up. So you can see I've got that loop-to-loop connection, and I want to make sure, I might have to face these loops a little bit better, because you want your component part to sit, your
Right.
briolet to sit
You want
facing
your
forward.
loops to be at
Mhm.
to angles.
At angles,
90
at right
degrees
angles.
To each other.
Yeah, exactly. So that's ready to go. So the other, just real quick, I think we have time. We do have a skill builder on doing that briolet wrap. And if you prefer doing the briolet wrap in that fashion, you certainly can. And I think, Emily, when you did the other pairs, you did it this way. Didn't you? Maybe?
I tend to make my briolets wrapped closed,
Right.
and then whatever I'm attaching them to is the open part.
Right. And so we do have this opened loop. So it does open, you can have one that's completely closed. I need to get this wire out of here just real quick with this other briolet. But I don't want to break it. There it goes. Okay. So the way that I do that, it's super simple, and you can consult our skill builder on beadshop.com to help you with this. Now this could be any gauge wire from 24 to 28 gauge, but I put the wire up through, and again I'll sail through this pretty fast because you can consult our skill builder. But see how I came in with the tip of my pliers and kind of smushed that sucker together? Now what I'm going to do is, there's going to be a short piece and a long piece. So that short, whoops, not the short piece, the long piece goes down. And then it's pretty much like just doing a regular wire wrap. I'll bring my round nose plier in there, up and over with that long piece, switch down to the bottom of my tool, roll that loop over so it's in the center, Now what I do is I'm going to hang on to this, both that short wire and the loop, keeping it nice and stable. And I'm going to wrap all of that together from the bottom of the loop to the top of the briolette. And then, since this is thin gauge, I'm going to wrap back up.
I actually do mine a different way. I have about 6 different methods for doing briolettes,
Yeah.
and I use them in all different circumstances.
Really?
Yeah,
That would be a great Facebook Live.
it would be a fun one. My
Yeah.
favorite is what I call a double wrap, where I actually end up wrapping
Wrapping
over
both.
over the first one,
Right.
and that makes it with thin wire. It gives it a little bit more substance.
Yeah, and so
but it
when
makes
I
it a little bit more durable.
yeah, and so
yeah.
I went down and back up, and it does give you a little bit of a heftier.
Beefier look
Yeah.
there.
Because in the 28 gauge, while it's heavy enough, I think visually it looks
That's
a little.
and that's really what I mean is visually.
Yeah, it looks a little. It looks a little bit heavier.
I got
So
your,
what have you got? Look at that,
I've
Em.
got your chain ready for you.
So talk a little bit about what you did here.
So what I did very carefully was attach each of my
God, that
loop
so
speed
good. Makes me so happy. Look
to
at
have
that.
it tied down like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
just
much easier.
Easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
These are just little artist T-pins. You can use a straight pin, a U-pin, even a safety pin
Yeah,
opened
would
up.
work.
Anything you got. And I just slide it in parallel to it's not really going through the cardboard, it's just going through the fabric a little bit. So every other link then got a dangle to hang down. And this way they all hang straight. And see how I left just a little bit of space in between? There's really no adding links there unless you want to add jump rings. So I know we're going to maybe have at least one spare to attach the jump ring to. So I'll let you cut them. And,
okay.
and
That's
so
exciting.
I cut my chain last. I get a chance to look at what I've done before I cut my chain. There's no real going back once you do your chain.
Right.
So I absolutely like to look at it first. And this might even be a moment where I get up and get a drink of water and then come back to it. Take that little breather time to make sure that everything hangs correctly and it's doing the right number of links and everything in between.
Right. And it's kind of like, before you close off your
Measure twice, cutting once.
Right, you cut off your soft flex or whatever.
Right.
So I know on the samples that I've done, we've used a jump ring, and we had one link,
One spare.
one spare.
Okay.
So I'm going to come in, measure twice, cut once. So that's
Yeah,
my
you can
spare.
do that too, is put a pin in the one you don't want to cut, so you're cutting right next to it. That's another
So it's
good
that
way
one.
to save yourself.
And I'm going to come in and I'm going to clip. And I know that it's this one I want to keep, so I'm going to come in and clip. So there's my one. And then I'll do the same thing over here. I know that this is the one I want to keep right there. So I'll clip away this extra. And this is the one I want to keep. So I'll clip that away.
I suppose if you really want to be sneaky, you could put your jump ring on those ones you want to keep.
I could,
And
yeah.
then cut the other ones.
How
You know.
many, sorry to interrupt, how many check beads are in each section?
9.
9.
I also started a little note to myself. And, when you are working and you want to repeat something, normally I'd make 2 sets of these because I'm making a pair of earrings. So if you want to remind yourself, you can do them at the same time. That way you don't really take so many notes. But if you want to repeat it, if you don't have a notebook on your bench, there's something wrong. You better start
Yeah.
taking notes.
Yeah.
So I did some quick little notes that just gave me the bare bones of what I was doing.
And so what I'll do is I'm actually going to take a pause from that for a second because I'm going to show you guys actually how I set it up to hang it. Em, would you make me that little dangle?
I will. Would you
you?
also like some ear wires?
Yeah, I'll take that ear wire. And what I did was
I just had 'em here.
the
Oh,
drop,
there.
it's about 1 inch of wire on each side. So what I'll do is I'll come up, I'm going to get my awl right here for the top portion.
Before you do that, would you
Yep.
hand me the head pins? That
Yeah.
tray right there.
There you go.
Perfect.
And so you can see how I'm holding this in my awl? And I can look visually and I can say, oh yeah, those are the little guys I want. You know, that's the right length. So I'll come in here and I'll cut that other one. So it's really fast and easy for me. And if I'm doing this, I would probably cut my second one just on here. So I know, so see, I can see, does that line up? It does. And I'll clip the other one. So I've got my two little tops. Now, what I'll do so that I know I'm putting it in the right link is I know that those links are at the top. So I'll come in with my ear wire, open that ear wire just like we opened those little drops. I'll grab that loop that I just had in my awl and I'll close it up. And I'll do the same for this one. And can you see for opening, and nope, I'm putting in the jump ring. For opening that, I'm getting ahead of myself. For opening that ring, I like using that bent chain. Grab that piece, put it in, close it up, and if I need to give it a little squeeze, I can. And then I check it just to make sure that it's all even and we're even. Now what I'll do is, this is ready to attach to the earring, and I want to attach it to the earring, I like to, before I add the pieces to the bottom, because then I can hang the earring and add the little dangles,
Right.
and so it helps me visually. So I'm going to come in, and now I'll attach these jump rings. Open this up. Open it just like so. Slide this guy on. Slide on my chain. Come on, doesn't matter. Well, it does matter what side, because I put this on forwards and backwards, so I don't want to put it on backwards. So that looks like it's going the right way. Close it up using the 2 pliers. Then I'll do the same on the other side. Grab that jump ring. Again, making sure it's facing in the right direction. Adding this guy on. 2 jump rings, or 2 pliers, you guys, to close those jump rings. One
Yeah,
and
there's
2.
no other way to do it.
No,
really.
no, really.
And I kind of think
There
of
we
it
go.
as it's not the right way. I'm not going to say anything about something being done the right way, but it is the only way.
Well, it makes it so much easier.
And you know what? I
Right.
saw that there's a correction on the bead numbers. I thought it was 9 and 9. It's actually supposed to be 8 on the top row and 9 on the bottom.
Oh, on the bottom. But you know
So-
what? 9 and 9 will work.
Yeah, yeah. We can
That'll
take
work.
one off if you
Yeah.
feel like it.
So see what I do? I put this on whatever cup I have near me. And I just happen to have my coffee cup. But sometimes I use like a little water glass or something so you can see where things are hanging. So you know what? See what I'm spying over there? See that? Water
That tall glass,
Yeah,
you want
can
it?
I have that one?
Sure, of course.
So it's maybe a little bit more appropriate. But I'll be honest, if I only had my coffee cup, that's what I'd use. But this is the one I think I used exactly. So I'll trade this out for this water glass. And I'll slide it on, because then I've got a little bit more room. So I'm going to actually turn this towards me a little bit, Bran, so I can see it. But which color is on top? It's this guy, the
Olive ear.
yeah, turquoise Celsian, I don't know what color, whatever
Silesian?
color. Yeah, that one, Celsian, that one. So, and I just attached them, you guys, with the jump rings, and I want to make sure that I'm facing the right way, and I get this guy, on. I'm going to bring it around towards me. Brandon, I'm sorry if I'm out of your vision here, but so I've got that guy. Whoops. And then I tried, when I was designing this, I was trying to figure out where the heck I was going to put the second one. And in the project, or in the component, you can see there's a nice little hole right there that's nice and open.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was just the right place to add it. So I'll add that one. Come here, chain link. Come here, chain link. Here, chain link. There we go. And get it in that last little link. There we go. It's facing the right way. I'll come in.
Oh, that was a tough spot for me.
Was it?
Yeah, I did get it, but it was
See,
fiddly, a little fiddly.
Whoops, it is a little fiddly.
Mhm.
But since it's sitting up, or it's sitting, you know, on the water glass,
It does help a bit,
it
doesn't
does help it a little
Mhm.
bit to give you some space. Okay, come on now. Who's in charge of this component, Emily Miller?
Okay,
Yes, I am. Now I'm going to pull it off. I'll hold it there.
And gravity is our friend here.
Gravity is so our friend.
It absolutely
go.
makes everything hang kind of down for you and out of the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoops. Crash. Close up for me. Ring. Whoops. There we go. Had a little bit of a death grip on those pliers. There we go. So now, you can see, I'll just bring this one around, and I can see that it's facing the right way. I'm going to get my, before I even place it, I'm going to get my jump ring open so it's ready to grab that chain. Come on now. And I'm going to grab the chain with the jump ring, and I'm just going to double check that everything is facing the right way, and I think
You
I'm
might
going
have
to
a little
shake it
twist
out.
in there.
Yeah, I think I've got a little bit of a twist. And that's what you want to really make sure that you don't have, you guys, is a twist.
Because you do want them all to hang down.
Yeah, you do.
They are going to bunch up on each other a
I'm
little
going to
bit,
face
but
it towards me because I can't see if I'm cheating this out for the camera. So bear with me here just a second while I untwist. There we go. That looks almost right. They're a little fiddly getting this in, but it's just like, you know, you guys doing the closure on your soft flex loop. So like what Emily said, going and getting a glass of water or a shot of gin will be.
I don't want a shot of gin. I want a martini.
Oh, right.
Although it's a little early yet.
Well, Gita's, it's evening.
It's 5
in
o'clock somewhere,
It's
right?
evening in Denmark, so
Right.
if we were beating with Gita, there we go. So I can grab it and close it up. And you really want to make sure, you know, people always ask me, you know, if they're, Kate, is this jump ring closed enough? Well, it's either
Oops,
closed.
I forgot to stop you.
What did I do?
You need to be on the upper hole. of
Oh.
that strand. Too bad.
Loser.
Sorry.
Let me take this off real quick.
But at least you got it connected now.
I do. And it was me. I was the loser.
And sometimes doing this in 2 steps might be easier. Putting the jump ring on the end of the chain and then attaching.
Yeah,
That way you're not doing 2 things at once.
right. There it goes. I knew I was doing that inside one for a reason, to get it in there.
Right. I would always do the hard one first.
Right? I'm going to switch my plier position. I think I want my bent chain. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Feels a little more secure.
A little more grippy.
Any questions right now we've got, Grace, while I'm putting this
No,
last one on?
Kim was saying it was a smart idea to hang the earrings off of the
Yeah.
glass. And then she said it would be a nice idea to hang it off the martini glass.
Yes, it's true.
Maybe we'll have to get a martini stem in here soon.
And
That's
Ginger
right.
says, I know for a fact the shot glass would be too short.
That's right. Oh, Ginger. Let's get this.
Tammy actually has a question. She says, can you hang both chains from the same jump ring, or are you already doing that?
Yeah, no, I did it from the separate rings. I actually tried doing that, Tammy, and I felt that it didn't stagger the chains enough for me.
Give you
So
enough
that's
drippiness.
why I put one in the top
Mm-hmm.
and one a little bit lower.
Gosh, that briolette looks so sparkly in
Doesn't
there.
it?
Doesn't it?
I want to kind of face all these the right way and then turn it. Yeah, isn't it really cool?
Yeah, this way.
There we go.
There, perfect.
Perfectamundo.
I just turned it just a little bit more towards the camera.
And
There
here's
we
the
go.
here's the little
Yeah, and
cherry
so
on
my
top.
little drop this way,
Second one.
Fran.
Yes.
So this little drop, all I did was I opened it up, and I actually dropped it
on
from the front
ear wire.
of the ear wire.
Yep.
Though you could drop it from the bottom of that chain, but I did the front. I'm looking through the glasses. I'm doing this.
Another
there we
good
go.
reason.
Another good reason. Let me take this off and add it. Just from the front of the ear wire, because I thought I just felt it sat a little bit better. But you could have it sit from like a little length of chain if you wanted it to dangle lower. You know, whatever works for you. And it looks like, see how I'm comparing these two? I can see visually even through the glass. See how I was a little bit longer with this chain?
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little bit shorter. So I would just come in, I'd clip it. I would actually connect it to the correct length
And
and
then
then
remove the
clip
extra.
off my
Mhm.
extra. But doing two this way and going, oh, you know what? I cut that one a little too long.
Mhm.
So that's the beauty of kind of working with the glass. So they're not bad, huh?
No, they're
I
cute.
kind of dig them. I can see them on the screen right here.
You know what?
Hmm.
Susan says they kind of look like hot air balloons to me. Very cool. They look like steampunk hot air balloons.
They do.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
do kind of have a hot air balloon, a Jules Verne kind of feel.
Around the world in 80 days.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So they were, here's the other colorway. I'm going to put them all on this glass because they're so easy to see. And then here's the other colorway right here.
That
Bam.
carnelian one, that carnelian drop. just
Yeah,
makes me
I kind of
want one.
love it.
Yeah.
And you can see now that they're all hanging, this one's a little bit longer,
Mhm.
this one's a little bit shorter. So you can
Vary that.
alter
a
the
little
length a little bit by altering how long or how short this top chain is. So not bad if I do say so
bit.
myself.
Real pretty. Real pretty.
Woo! Woo! We did it.
You did it.
No, it's team effort.
When your mom
Yeah.
she wants to see them on you.
Oh, okay. So this is the perfect time to actually pull everything back up. All right, Ma, since it's your birthday, which one should I put on these?
That's the other half to what you're wearing already.
Oh, I still have them on.
Yeah.
One on.
Looks great on you.
I love them,
Mm-hmm.
but I like it. What I like to say is say something earring.
Statement. Making a
There we
statement.
go.
Mm-hmm.
How do they look? Is my scarf in the way? I could always ditch the scarf.
That looks good.
Does it look all right?
Mm.
All right, then I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it. But they would look great as a, right? I could put this in as a
Yeah,
pendant or whatever
absolutely.
too. So
Absolutely.
it'd be really fun. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good
Welcome
times.
back. Gosh, it's so nice to have you back.
Oh gosh, it was a fun week,
Yeah.
but I'm glad to be home. And it's great to just, I flew back yesterday and right on to Facebook Live today. It was awesome. So, well great. Any final questions, Gracie, before we wrap up? Okay.
Oh, Margie
Yeah.
says ditch the scarf, it gets in the way. But
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
All right.
Well, I'm also
I'll
sitting next
ditch
to you.
it.
I'm not
Yeah, it's
looking
true.
at
You
the
can see it.
monitor.
So I'll take it off. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
And then a lot of people are saying that these
There we
would be
go.
great as pendants.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they
Oh.
would be great as pendants.
And you have to talk about what was like the total
Oh,
topic of the
people,
hour.
did you have a did you have a question about my ring that I'm wearing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My
A
ring.
little sparkler.
I thought it would be kind of fun. You know, we've been playing around with these. Karen did such an amazing
those buttons.
eclipse,
Oh.
her eclipse
Mhm.
bracelet that she did with the new moon that we debuted on Monday. Her eclipse project.
Unreal.
It was really, really
Yeah.
cool. So we've had, of course, our check glass buttons on the brain. And so I thought, I'm trying to plan ahead a little bit for Free Tip Friday so I don't do everything off the cuff. But I think for Free Tip Friday, I'm going to share with you a couple of little tricks on how to turn our check glass buttons into rings. And we'll also maybe do a little bit of a gluing. We'll continue our gluing. So we've had wire here, so we'll do a little bit of a wire ring, and it's super, super easy. But I think they're fun. I just stacked it with my wedding band.
That's
I
just,
thought
it's
it was
a
kind
$1
of
million
fun.
idea right there.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
I thought it was really cute. So we'll play around with that. That's coming up
I
on
love
Free
it.
Tip Friday.
I love it.
So, so we'll do that. All right. Well, to end our broadcast, Emily Miller, what are we giving away today?
You know, I hope you guys noticed that we were measuring with a little ruler. And
Yeah.
this little tool is one of those things that I don't think I could really be without
No.
in my stringing, in my wire wrapping, in my metal clay,
Yeah. All of
in
it.
my metal smithing.
Yeah, metal
I don't think
smithing.
I could be without this
No,
tool.
and I have this
And
in
what
my
I-
little kit.
What I love about the packaging that it comes in is it comes in a pair.
Yeah.
So you have one that you're going to leave on your workbench. It's never going to leave there. It's going to be in a little jar with the pencils and things. And then you're going to have one that you're going to take traveling with you.
Yeah. And you know, what I do, they have a little hole in them, so I have a cup hook on the
Oh, yeah.
edge of my workbench,
And it hangs down.
and it just goes right into that cup
And see,
hook.
I put a tassel on it so it doesn't get lost.
Right, see? See, we could do that. And we thought also, since it was my mama's birthday today, she's a quilter, and her favorite thing is a ruler. She's really good at measuring.
She's really good.
So we thought that it would be a perfect giveaway for her birthday. And you know what we didn't show you on the other side? There's inches on this side, and on this side, it's millimeters and centimeters.
And you know, if you're shopping online at beadshop.com, for instance, and it says that this bead is 10 millimeters by 12 millimeters, I can't really figure that out just with my eyeball. But I can turn this over and say 10 millimeters, 1 centimeter by 12 millimeters. It allows me to actually know
how big your
something
your
is when
piece
I'm
is,
buying it.
yeah.
Because it's hard to judge sometimes on the internet.
Yeah.
And you can always zoom in and then you get an unrealistic expectation.
And so the giveaway is a little pair
Pair of
these.
rulers.
A pair and a spare.
Yeah.
So when you
An
make
air
your
and a
order,
spare.
an air and a spare, right? A ruler and a spare. So today is, I'll let you hold that one. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of August. So if you're watching this broadcast live, it's a little after noon Pacific time. All orders that are placed until about 1 o'clock, maybe a little bit after, about 1:05 probably Pacific time. Place an order of any size and put in your shipping notes Facebook Live rules. Get
Rules. Get it?
it? Get it? It was funny.
It is.
We'll add your little ruler pair into your order, and you will have both of your rulers for your workbench. Right now, we have a store-wide sale going on. It's right on the front page of our website, but I just thought I'd add it here, and you can add shop 15, and we'll knock 15%
Nicely done.
off your order. Pretty simple. And that store-wide sale is going through through the end of the month. So
Wow,
there's
that's a
no
good long time.
yeah, there's no rush on that one.
Right.
So you can use the shop 15 if you just throw that in to your coupon code box. It'll knock that 15% off. So that's what we've got.
Good deals today.
Yeah. So next week we've got looming,
Yeah.
right? We've got samples to finish.
We got looming.
We've got
We got-
looming. Looming
we got
is
looming
looming
on the brain.
Yeah, so those of you who really dug my project, that 3-wrap loomed project that I did on a quick Free Tip Friday.
Yeah, you got it coming
a
out.
few-
Now we're doing it really, the real
yeah,
deal.
we're going to be doing some kind of variations on that theme. So we'll have the samples and stuff up for you real soon so you can see it. But it's going to be a really fun and fast, great looming project. And if you're thinking, you know, it's not too early, I know it's August, but we're careening towards the holidays. This would be a great one for holiday gifts, especially if you start getting started now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
that's a
are.
story.
It's not like 3 months off. It's really not that far.
Yeah,
I know.
right? We better start on those gifts.
September,
Make a pair.
October,
Think about who
November,
would
about
love
4
these
months off.
Summer of Love earrings.
Yeah.
And start making them. All right. Well, any parting words,
Questions?
Grace? How did we do? Woo!
Great.
We're all wire wrapped out. We did a good job.
I'm not wire wrapped out at all.
Well, wire looped out.
What? I'm not wire wrapped
No?
at all. No.
Right? You're ready to make another pair?
I am.
Excellent.
I'm feeling a little itchy wire fingers.
Right? I know.
I've got wire kind of on the brain,
Wire
and
on the
briolet
brain.
wrapping, and
Right,
those things are
everything
all
on the
kind of
Well, we've got some fun. We're gonna have
Yeah.
some fun. We've got some fun wire goodness for that. All right, you guys. Well, as always, thank you so much for joining us here, Facebook
Have a
Live
great
from
day, y'all.
beadshop.com.
Get out there and bead.
Yes, get out there and bead. I'll see you Friday for Free Tip Friday when we make some little wire rings, and of course next week for some leather and looming.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.